Yeah, you could
of
say that.
life.
Yeah. I mean, in a way,
But
that...
it aligned you.
Yeah, something. I have no idea how to put it in words. It's really a mystery.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you said you did some therapy.
Yeah, because I
What did you
thought that
try?
something was missing.
Yes. And what came out?
Well, we analysed my childhood and all the different stories that I've grown up with and the reasons why and how, and my dreams. And some of it kind of seemed to loosen something, but didn't ever get to the root of it. So I went travelling. I lived in Israel for about 8 years, first of all.
Yes.
In a kind of an attempt to get away from my parents, who weren't nasty or anything, but
So you stopped doing therapy because you said you had enough with digging in the past.
yeah, well, it wasn't quite as clear as that at that stage,
Right.
but you know, I think I just left the country, and so I stopped doing therapy. It wasn't-
Okay, so you went to Israel.
Yeah.
And did you have anything in mind? What you want to do there?
Just get away from my parents.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, because it seemed like their voices telling me how I should be, what I should do,
Yeah.
and I wanted to find out what I really want, who I really am. It was the beginning of the search to find who I am,
Yes.
to find the missing identity that I couldn't find.
Yes.
And so I went to Israel to look for it.
It's interesting that you have, what you say is, I have to find my identity before I actually can let go of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always, we only can surrender something we really own.
Yeah, it is.
So we need to
But I didn't
know
even know that I needed to surrender anything.
Right.
I just thought there was a problem with me.
Yes.
I don't find anyone here.
Yeah.
And so I lived in Israel.
But when you say you didn't find anybody, yet when you did therapy, you know, there was rage coming up and anger coming up and things from the past. But did you never identify this as being you?
I could play the story, I could play, I think I did this. This was in my 20s or something.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
by then I had learnt how to play the game,
Right.
how to pretend to be someone.
Yes.
I didn't really know who, so I was a confused someone, without any particular personality that I could put my finger on, but I could play the game. And so there was some kind of, I don't know whether I could say I was unidentifying, maybe an identifying with a kind of poor, confused me.
Yeah, so when somebody said to you, Lisa, or Lisa,
yeah,
you knew that was you.
yeah. It's not that I knew that it was me,
Yeah.
but I knew how to play the game. I could answer to that name, and I could pretend.
Yes.
I was getting good at pretending.
Yeah. Good. So what happened in Israel?
So I realised that my parents' voices were in my head.
Yeah.
So I could be, in a different country. It didn't make any difference.
Yes.
And I had various experiences there, and I had quite a long relationship with a man there, and it kind of ended quite emotionally, traumatically, and I wanted to get away from him as quick as possible. So I went travelling, and I ended up in India, and I was in India for about 3 years, and seeking, searching.
So how did you seek? What did you do?
Well, first, I wasn't really interested in spirituality, and certainly not in teachers.
Yes.
I hadn't heard of awakening or enlightenment, or if I had, to me that was to do with old men who sit in caves, and it was just nothing to do with my life, me. I was still searching for this missing identity, and I came across the Osho commune in Pune.
Yeah.
And spent some time there, and it was my first introduction to meditation,
Yes.
and I loved it.
Yes.
and I loved dancing and the general kind of juiciness of the lifestyle there. Spent a long time there, and I got my new name, my sannyasin name, which is Unmani.
And what does that mean?
It means beyond the mind. And
nice.
It's quite
so
nice.
You stayed for how long did you stay in Pune?
On and off for about 3 years. I kept on going away and coming back, and I did other various courses, meditation courses, and bits of therapy and Reiki and various other things in other places, and then came back. And I ended up doing a Primal Feelings workshop where you spend 5 days going back into your childhood, digging into the past, crying for 5 days. And on the last day, I was doing a cathartic session, trying to kill my mother.
And
I broke my leg. I was kicking and punching the walls, and somehow I don't know how it happened, but I broke my leg, and I was so hyped up with adrenaline that I didn't stop jumping, even though my leg was broken. I mean, it was fractured or something. So I kept on jumping on it. And dancing on it at the end of it as well. And then I was taken to hospital. But they brought me back for the last session of the group.
And you had a cast?
I had a cast, but I was desperate to come back to the end. And it was good, actually, because I came back and the therapist said, this workshop was just a small taster of the work that you need to do on yourself.
Oh dear.
And I'm so grateful that he said that, because for me that was the end of searching. I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't do that digging in the past. It's just no way that was true. That was the way to do it. There's no way. And so I became quite suicidal after that, because I realised that there's nothing I can do. I'd lost all hope.
It was a very desperate place to be.
Very desperate. I remember just lying in bed with my broken leg.
And did you feel very alone?
Totally alone. I was in India still, far away from anyone who cared about me, and far away from anything that was familiar. Totally lost. Didn't know. I knew that there's something terribly wrong. I didn't know how to fix it, what to do. I couldn't see any point in living anymore. I was at the end. And I'd heard of a woman called Dolano, who she's a German woman who gives satsang. She's based in Pune. And I'd heard of her about a year before that, talking about awakening. And like I said, I was never really interested in awakening. But I'd heard also that she was accepting people to her satsang who were ready to die. And at this point, I thought, actually, I'm ready to die. And I was terrified.
How did this feel when you say, I'm ready to die?
Terrifying.
Did you know what that means?
Not clearly, actually. It just felt just so lost. No more hope.
So I guess the pain must have been so strong you just wanted to escape.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you thought that only through death that was possible.
That would be the only peace.
Yes.
Yeah.
So was it kind of the dark night of the soul?
You could say that, yeah. I mean, it's very difficult to compare it to anybody else's story when it's the only story you know.
Yes.